Hey, what's up guys, it's T-Bone here. Welcome back to another episode of playing Legendary Game of Heroes. The event Fennec Fright Fest has just started. We're back to the regular Slayer format, so there's a lot of boss smashing going on, and I've gotta say, it's been a lot of fun, especially with the new support card, the Pumpkin Queen. She's definitely become my favorite fire support card of all time, and what I want to do today is talk about a few of the deck ideas using her, as well as the rest of the cards from the event deck itself. So let's take a look. We're going to kick things off with a support team from the previous and this Fire Slayer event. Take a look at turn 1 here. This is why I love the Pumpkin Queen. She already activates her passive skill on turn 1, so you have enough fire gems to charge up all of the battle skills. Now with Ovi on the team, there's an interesting dynamic here. You can activate Ovi on the very next turn so that it can destroy the gems in preparation for the Pumpkin Queen's second turn activation of her passive skill. So we drop all of the fire gems closer to the bottom of the board, and we can also take this opportunity to dispel fear using Pumpkin Queen's battle skill. Now what we have is the passive skill that activates from the Pumpkin Queen. Then we do a power gem swap, and you can see that we were able to deal enough damage to take out the level 196 skill boss, and we're able to deal over 800 million damage. Next we have Domi, 2 Thulas, and 2 Pumpkin Queens. Domi will boost 300% health and damage for all fire warriors, and that is what Thula and Pumpkin Queen both are. Also, because Thula is a collection hero this time, she's got the 10 times bonus, which is really nice. With some relics in place, we also almost filled the board with fire gems, and we're able to take down more than half of the boss's health right on turn 1. So now what we do is we wait for a turn for Pumpkin Queen to be able to activate her passive skill, and then we activate her battle skill to dispel fear, and then activate Thula to get additional power gems on the board, and we get more gems from Domi. Then we finally do a swap and connect all of the chains. Now we're able to take down the boss with that next attack. So this is a team that's capable of dealing pretty good damage, and also deal it fast enough so that you can take out the boss quickly. For this next team, we're going to complement the 2 Pumpkin Queens with Ra and also Galena. We're using Ra and Galena for the power gem generation and for the gem fall capability. I brought in the Cannibal God on the far left here, but he's not really needed. I brought him in because he's a fire spirit card, and I have a relic that will spawn power gems as long as a spirit's on the team. So you can replace him with another card and you should be fine. So here we wait for the passive ability to activate, then we create additional power gems and activate Galena, then we do the power gem swap. So with this particular setup with this team, we're able to deal just about 2 billion damage, taking the boss's health all the way down to 300 million. At this point, there's a choice. You can actually just go and try to use the passive ability of the Pumpkin Queen to try and deal enough damage to take the boss out here. But what I chose to do is I chose to wait for another turn for the Ra card and for Galena's battle skills to regenerate. It takes 3 turns for them to generate, so I do one more quick swap here to end the turn, and I wait for the passive skill to activate, then I activate everything else, and then with this I'll be able to take down the boss easily, as you can see here. In fact, I deal more damage with this particular turn than the previous one. So this is a pretty good setup here with the gem fall, and you'll see more of it later on in additional teams as well. So far we've shown teams that have just the 2 support cards. Now I'm going to add in a Soul Thresher as well to generate power gems for additional damage. To support this team, I brought in Vinder on the far left, who is actually a collection hero as well for this event, and Apep, the support card from one of the previous Thoth Fire God events. So Apep will create fire gems every time you attack, and Vinder is a gem destroyer who will destroy more gems the higher its intensity goes. Now this is where the weakness of the Halloween deck can be seen. It is very intensely dependent, and so the goal that I've always had in this particular fight is to reach 100 intensity. I do have 2 relics that I have that are special relics, so I am able to generate 10 intensity every turn, and I'm depending on the 2 Pumpkin Queens to generate 10 additional intensity every 2 turns. So it does take a little while, but the goal here is we'll wait for 100 intensity. I'm not waiting for the full 350, and that is because I only have 1 card. And this is where Vinder really comes in handy. because it's a gem destroyer, what I can do is I can spawn all of the power gems I can and then use the gem destroyer to then group them together so that I can have them chained easily. So at this point, I go ahead and do a power gem swap, and I can easily take down the boss. As you can see, I can deal well over 6 billion damage with this particular setup. Now, what's interesting with the rune system is that it's also very likely that you could have the Master Collection card without getting the event card. So 1 Master Collection card and 2 support cards, can you deal good damage? Well, with this team, you definitely can. So what I have here is I brought in Ra and also Vendor from the previous match. As you can see, Vendor is there to destroy gems. And I'm bringing in Ra. If you had thought it would be even better, but I brought in Ra to generate additional fire gems. So the goal here is to reach approximately 100 intensity. And during this fight, my thought process was I wanted to get a little bit more than 10 gems, or I wanted to get more than 100 intensity because I wanted to try to defeat Dojin quicker. And also because I don't want to wait additional 7 turns in case I don't deal enough damage on the first shot. So I actually end up going to about 120, 130 intensity, so it does take a few turns here. But what you'll see here is I'm able to heal nicely with the 2 Pumpkin Queens I have here, and I can just do some quick matches. I'm not really worried about my health at this point. So now I'm getting ready to get set up with my power gems, and so what I do is I continue to want to wait for the passive ability to activate. So I wait 1 more turn here. And then once the passive ability of the Pumpkin Queens go off, I go ahead and activate the Master Collection cards ability. And then I activate Ra, bring them all together, and I do a power gem swap. And with this particular setup, I'm able to deal more than 22.3 damage. That's billion damage that's needed to take down Dojin in 1 shot. Alternatively, you might find yourself with just the ultra rare if you're able to get pull 1 early in the support pack and find yourself not having the Master Collection card or the event card. In this situation, it's okay because of the passive abilities of these 3 cards, the 2 support and 1 ultra rare, you are actually set with power gem as well as regular fire gem creation already. All you need is a couple more power gems and a card that can bring them all together. Instead of Vendor, I'm showcasing Night Sun here. So what you'll see here is I use Night Sun to destroy all of the gems, and then I do a power gem swap, and I'm able to deal more than 2.2 billion in 1 shot with this team for a very quick win. Now, in the last video, I mentioned that you don't really need the ultra rare card, and so what we've got here is a Master Collection card, event card, and 2 supports, and I did bring in Galena to do additional damage as well with the Gemfall, but again, not necessarily a requirement. So with having 2 gem spawners in the deck now, I would say 100 is a pretty good intensity to wait for. That will give you about 20 power gems on the board, which is more than half of the board here. That will give you usually sufficient damage to take out the boss. But during this time, what's nice about this deck is you can deal some chip damage in the middle as well because of the passive ability of your Pumpkin Queen. Take advantage of that. Do power gem swaps if they're close together, but really your target goal is to wait for the intensity to go to about 100, 110, whatever your preference may be. But the best is to time it so that when the passive ability activates, that's when you would go ahead and activate both your Master Collection as well as your event card. So at this point, we're going to go ahead and activate everything. Then we're going to do a power gem swap. And we activate Galena as well, and you'll see we have 42 gems that will be dropping as well, along with the confetti that falls from the matches. And with this, we're able to take down Sand Charmer Ultra with 40 billion health with that 1 shot. So this is a pretty good setup, and you can take down a high-level boss with that particular team. And now we're going to use the full team here with 1 Master Collection card, 1 event card, and an ultra rare with 2 support cards. And we're going to be taking on a Cobalt boss, the level 183 Maestro Catherine. So the thing with the ultra rare card here is that she also generates intensity at 10 intensity every 2 turns. So I'm able to build up intensity relatively fast even though I only have 2 relics. Again, the goal here is 100 intensity, and what's going on in my head for this particular fight is I'm trying to get MVP, and I'm also trying to make sure that I don't end up dealing too little damage and have to wait 7 turns before I can deal damage again. So there's a balance here. I'm taking a look to see what kind of damage is being output by the opponent by other people that are attacking and trying to see how much time I have before I need to attack. So right now I'm waiting until I get to about 100 intensity, and then I go ahead and activate all of the skills. And you can see the additional visual effects here. When there's more than 25 power gems on the board, you get additional damage boost as well. And with this, I was able to take down Catherine pretty easily with that particular setup. All told, in terms of the gem investment, I was able to get this team for 4,400 gems, and that is because I was able to pull the ultra rare card on tier 1. I didn't get a chance to cover the Phoenix in this particular episode and the teams that we can build using Funicula as the leader, so I hope that we can talk about this in the next episode when I can time the video to coincide with the haunted bosses better. So this is it for this episode. Thanks a lot for watching, thanks for your time, and I'll see you next time.